Last year, in honor of Halloween, we embarked on a journey to visit several locations around my hometown that some people believe to be haunted. And with Halloween yet again around the corner, why don't we go ahead and give it another go? So much for atmosphere. Hey guys, Joe here, welcome back, and welcome, one and all, to Spooky Tour 2K20. As I mentioned previously, on our last spooky expedition, we visited 3 locales around my hometown that some people believe to be haunted. In the quick Google search I did last year in preparation, I found the 3 that I used in the last video, and kinda thought that would be it, but when looking into it, apparently there were still quite a few in my area left to tackle. With Halloween coming yet again, today seemed as good a day as any to go ahead and try and check some of those out. We're going to be diving into the stories behind each one of these supposedly haunted locations, and then rating it on its level of spookiness. The days are getting shorter, it's below 50 degrees outside, the leaves are changing colors, and I'm ready to get spooked out. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I am standing in front of a location that fills me with a sense of true emptiness. It's a place frozen in a state of decay and time long past. Hundreds of people would inhabit this place daily. Now it's just nothing more than a ghost town. The place that I'm so eerily speaking of is an abandoned Circuit City. Now I know what you're probably thinking. How is that scary? Well, I'll have you know, this place has been abandoned for 11 years. 11 years! And not once, to my knowledge, has Spirit Halloween possessed and cannibalized the inside of this building. If you live anywhere with Spirit Halloween, you know they'll take what they can get, and if they won't even take this place, what horrors could lie inside? Yeah, this was a bit. On with the actual tour. Alright, first up on the tour, we are in Greenwood Cemetery, which is actually the oldest and largest cemetery in Rockford. The cemetery is home to the Greenwood Chapel building, which you can actually see behind me. It was built to hold services on days with bad weather, but it actually serves a pretty unique dual purpose. Built in 1921, it's actually the first functioning crematorium in the entire state of Illinois. These grounds are the final resting places of various famous people throughout history, such as a man named Ross Barnes, who was a baseball player on an early incarnation of the Chicago Cubs, as well as a man named William Bebb, who was the 19th governor of Ohio. However, the alleged spooky activity is all thanks to a sheriff who was shot and killed in the line of duty. Winnebago County Sheriff John Taylor was shot in the line of duty by a suspected cattle thief, which was then rounded up by the citizens of Rockford and hung in its first public execution, which is pretty metal. Allegedly, when people have visited, they've been able to hear his final words, which were, "I'm shot, catch him," which, as a sheriff in any town, I think those are pretty dutiful last words. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't expect much when we first showed up here. I've driven by the cemetery 500,000 times. It's right off of a main street, so it doesn't seem that creepy on the outside. I've also not experienced anything that I would consider paranormal, but I will say this, because of how old it is and the amount of intermixed headstones and things that are just so old, as we were driving around trying to find specific headstones, it gives off a pretty creepy vibe. I wouldn't say it's haunted, but it's definitely a spooky vibe if you want to come here in the fall time. So, what do I rate it? 1 out of 5 in terms of spookiness. Well, I'm gonna write the answer to that question on the back of this tiny orange. I wanted to get tiny pumpkins, but I couldn't find any, and my mom had these sitting on our kitchen table, so thanks, Mom.
Where in the world are all my oranges?
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and write the rating on the back of this now. So, out of 5, I'm going to give Greenwood Cemetery 3.5 out of 5 tiny pumpkin oranges. If you're looking for things to explore in the fall time to get to a spooky feeling, respectfully, of course, don't be vandals. I'm going to go ahead and leave this tiny orange right here. so they know where they stand. We're gonna go on to the next area. All right, we have arrived at our second location, and we are currently on the campus of Rockford University, which in all my years living here, I've never been here before. Rockford University was originally founded in 1847 as Rockford Female Seminary, and it was originally located downtown on the banks of the Rock River. We're currently standing in front of Adams Arch, which all the remains of the original structure from downtown that after some time they moved here. It's called Adams Arch because it was the entranceway to Adams Hall, which to my knowledge was a building that housed mostly art classes and things revolving around the arts. Now allegedly, sometimes on quiet nights you can hear the faint laughter of a small girl near the arch, but of course we're not here at nighttime. It's the daytime because I don't have the money for expensive lighting equipment. Now obviously it's not nighttime, but given that it is close to Halloween, I thought maybe we can try. I'll give it a quick listen, see if I can hear anything. Alright, so do you hear anything? Yeah, me either. It's kind of disappointing. Let's give it one more try. No, I'm kidding. That was all edited in post. Alright, so the whole point of being here, what is my spooky consensus? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a very small structure that, again, I thought was going to be kind of underwhelming. When I first approached it, I walked through the entranceway, and just being in front of nothing but, like, woods, very creepy as shit. Oh my god, that was an animal, but it scared me. Well, I am more sufficiently freaked out than I was at the last location, but it's not because of the ghosts, it's because of a fucking bird. So yet again, I'm gonna put my rating on another tiny pumpkin orange. Gonna go ahead and put it on now. All right, if we're talking about ranking spookiness on a scale of 1 to 5 tiny pumpkin oranges, I'm gonna be giving the Adams Arch at Rockford University a 2. It's not super creepy, it's a little spooky vibes. It's also not much. It's just an arch surrounded by college campus, but it's still a pretty dope spot. I would imagine coming here at night would be a lot scarier, and it's probably a great place to post Instagram pictures if that's something that interests you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this little guy right up here. And now, he's a part of history. That ain't going anywhere. We have now made it to our last stop, and for this particular location, we've actually driven 30 minutes north to the small town of Rockton, Illinois. We are yet again in another cemetery, but this time, maybe for the creepiest possible trip that we've stopped on today so far. You see, in our current location, this is the home to the legend of the witch baby grave, as you can see right here. Now, the legend of the witch baby grave goes a little something like this. There was a woman who lived in town, and the townsfolk believed her to be a witch. She had a baby with a man out of wedlock, and soon after, the baby died of mysterious circumstances, and then was laid to rest right here. Shortly after, there were reportings of, like, strange lights and stuff, and that brought the local teenagers, so that's inevitably when they added the cage to protect the grave from, like, vandalism and stuff. If I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I don't really think the gate would stop vandalism, as it's only, like, yay high. If someone really wanted to do damage, they probably could, but that'd be incredibly disrespectful. Nevertheless, the gate adds to the overall creep factor. Part of the local myth is because it is a child's grave, people do come and bring presents, as you can see with the Frisbee and Buzz Lightyear and pair of pink sunglasses that somebody probably bought at Forever 21. I stand by my sentence that I said at the beginning of this. This is probably the creepiest place that we've been today. It's the first one that the vibes have just made me feel incredibly uneasy. Honestly, hand to God, if it wasn't for the paved roads, I'd feel like we were in the 1800s. That's creepy as hell. So, with that being said, obviously, what does this rank on the spookiness chart? Lucky for you, I have one last tiny orange pumpkin, and overall, the witch baby gravesite, as well as this entire cemetery, gets a pretty high score of 4.5. If you're within the area and you want to feel truly creeped out, I think this is a great place to come and visit. Obviously, if you do visit, be respectful. But this is really creeping me out, and it's got me in the holiday spirit. Ironically, the whole leaving things along for the grave, I don't feel so weird about leaving a tiny pumpkin. It's not a pumpkin. I don't know why I keep calling it that. All right, I've got it nestled right there. Eventually it will decay, so it's not causing any issues. Real creepy place. I don't want to be here anymore. Let's get out. Well, I think that about does it for today's journey. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. Honestly, I kind of think this year's tops last year's, and hopefully next year's will top this one. But I think there's only one real way that I can end this video, and that's paying my mom back for the oranges I stole. Well, that didn't go as planned.